What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here for the Wrestling Inc. podcast, audio edition for June 13th, 2016. I am joined by Rob McCarron and Raj Giri. Before we jumped into this, I wanted to preface by saying that we ran into a ton of technical issues. It is an issue on Google's end with Google Hangouts. We will be looking at different ways to possibly stream in the future because Google Hangouts has been kind of unreliable for us lately. But I'm here with Raj Giri and Rob McCarron heading into Money in the Bank. Raj, I want to ask you, what did you think about the show, all in all?
You know, I actually thought it was pretty good until after the AJ Styles and John Cena segment. And then I just thought it dragged. I didn't think it got bad. I just thought it dragged. But you know, other than that, I thought it definitely had a lot more good than bad.
Rob, what did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it made me more interested in seeing, you know, two of the big three matches. I mean, especially AJ Styles and John Cena for sure. And that, to me, is the real main event now. I mean, AJ Styles and John Cena is a dream match to me. So what they were billing it as, I'm absolutely buying that. I believe it is a dream match. So I'm excited for it. And I think, Sean, we talked about this on one of our Thursday podcasts or maybe our first Monday show, that they just had a lot of weeks to build up this Money in the Bank match with all the same guys. And instead of, I think they thought they were trying to be creative in different ways of setting this match up, but they ended up doing the same thing every single week, was just mixing and matching guys, whether it was singles matches or different things. So they weren't too creative in building up the Money in the Bank match. And then, I mean, the no women's championship match. We're going to have the women's tag team match. And there's no heat going into this. There's nothing hot going into this. And on this episode of Raw, instead of giving us something hot to sink our teeth into, the one person who's not on the pay-per-view page ends up being the one who gets a win and looking good. So it was very odd looking in some standpoints, but overall, I think the show itself was a mild thumbs up.
Yeah, it seems like an eternity since Kevin Owens beat AJ Styles to get his spot in that Money in the Bank match. It seems like it was forever ago, and they could have done a thing where they had a couple of qualifying matches each week to put some stakes on each Raw, have a few guys cost each other spots in the Money in the Bank match, or things backfire. But we didn't get that.
Yeah, I think the first week that they built all this stuff up was probably their best week, and then it kept it didn't steadily go down, but it was kind of plateaued after that. But I think the first week absolutely was their best week of building it up. The problem was they had 4 more episodes to go.
Well, we started off with a moment of silence for victims of the Orlando attacks. Terrible stuff. TNA did it last night as well. This would kind of come into play a little later, and I'll bring that up. But New Day kicked off the show. I thought it was a good idea to kick off the show, after that moment of silence with something positive, and what better way than with the power of positivity. They were joined by Enzo and Cass. They made fun of Kofi Kingston's Steph Curry shoes. Hot topic about 6 days ago on Twitter. Not so much now. Would have been a little more topical maybe last week on SmackDown. I thought that Enzo and Cass did extremely well here. I really liked this segment, Rob.
Yeah, and it's getting you ready on short notice, because this match being a 4-way is kind of short notice compared to everything else on the pay-per-view. But I think the unpredictability of who actually wins is the big deal with this match. Obviously, Enzo and Cass, it's a big deal for them. It is their first title shot. Enzo's coming back from his injury. What are Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson going to do in their first tag title opportunity too? It's a huge match. I think any of the 4 teams honestly have a chance to win this one, maybe with the Vaudevillains being the least likely, but it is a big match and mostly for the who wins aspect.
Raj, what did you think of the opening segment?
I liked it. I thought it was a little corny at times, but that's kind of par for the course when you got the New Day. But I thought it was good. I thought the match itself actually kind of made it clear who was winning this Sunday. But and I think with New Day taking the pin, they're going to be getting the win this Sunday. But I mean, there's obviously a lot of ways you can go with it. But I like that they didn't open with the McMahons and they did something different. So I liked it.
And they went there with the dildo references, guys.
Yeah, this had to be
in the opening segment.
Yeah,
not 10 o'clock, not 9 o'clock,
the 8
o'clock
right. Hour.
You don't watch the basketball game tonight, guys. We're going nuts tonight.
Yeah,
we're going to talk about dildos and everything. We're going to talk PWG on this show.
By the way, if I'm WWE, the last thing I'm doing is referencing Steph Curry's shoes at 8 p.m.
Right, reminding everyone.
Yeah, to go watch the game, which, yeah, it's the last thing I'm doing. Vaudevillains came out. I'll say this again. I think they've been infinitely better on the main roster than NXT, but that's not saying a lot. The club also interrupted. I would like to see personally down the line, I'd like to see Anderson and Gallows match wits with New Day and Enzo, because if you've ever heard Luke Gallows, outside of his traditional WWE character, the man is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. He's the best. I think he's hilarious, but the issue is I don't know if we're ever going to see that guy on WWE TV.
Yeah, they were pretty edgy when they were in New Japan with a lot of their backstage promos, and I don't see that happening here. But yeah, I agree. I definitely think they can, and they can definitely do more. I think Aiden English is really good. He needs a gimmick change whenever the Vaudevillains wears out. But I thought that.
The singing is no buys.
Hey, he's married into the Guerrero family. Maybe they can do something with that.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's
Sean,
true.
feet to the fire. Do you agree that New Day? Do you agree that New Day taking the pinfall kind of sets them up for a victory on Sunday?
Yeah, I kind of do. They had that weird thing where they claimed that they were the longest reigning tag champions, and they're definitely not by any stretch of the imagination. They have the longest combined reign, and I think that leading into this brand split, they're going to be the top tag team on whatever brand that they are on. So if they lose the titles, then show up on another brand and win the titles, it'd be like, it'd be almost like the UFC interim title thing. It's like, that's a fake belt, that type of thing. Which, I mean, ultimately they're all fake belts. But, yeah, I think they're going to win. And we will go over each of the our Money in the Bank predictions as we go along. Anderson and Gallows hit the Magic Killer on Kofi for the win. Any thoughts about the match, Raj?
I thought it was pretty standard. It was I thought it was pretty good. It didn't bore me. It did what it was set up and designed to do.
Yeah, good stuff. Corporate Kane was back tonight. I know we were all looking forward to this. We all had it, we were waiting to break that news on WrestlingInc.com. Corporate Kane has returned. The story of the year, I'm glad that they did it later on, but, if you got Shane McMahon and Kane in a segment, you got to talk about their history. Kane electrocuted the man's testicles on television, which they did bring up later. Kane did not get the job that he was going for. He was trying to position himself as a potential SmackDown GM. And when they didn't give him the job later in the night, he asked, did the fact that I hooked a car battery up to your testicles cause me this job? And Shane goes, it didn't help. I thought these segments, this was pretty fun stuff, Raj.
I thought they were great. I think Corporate Kane as a in-ring character, as an in-ring wrestler, sucks. But he was, I thought he was fantastic. That was one of the best things about this show, is those backstage segments. And the thought of the Undertaker typing up a letter of recommendation is pretty funny too. So yeah, I liked him.
Rob, your thoughts?
I'm a big Kane fan, but I agree that for most people, he's probably best kept to shorter segments like this. I think he does entertain quite a few people this way. But listen, Shane McMahon, he still had kids afterwards. If he's not irreparably harmed by the battery to the testicles, then why not? Let bygones be bygones. It's a new era in WWE. Forgive the man. I'm glad they were able to forgive each other.
I agree. We had Zack Ryder backstage telling a few fans about how Apollo Crews knocked out Sheamus, or didn't knock him out, put him on his ass last week. Sheamus showed up and kind of bullied him. They have a match later on. I like Sheamus as the bully. It seems natural for him, Rob.
Oh, yeah. No, I think this is a good thing for Sheamus. I think it's a good thing for Apollo Crews. I like that they haven't been shoved down the throats, per se, because Apollo, it's better than Apollo being on Superstars week after week. But how bad is it for backstage gossip when Zack Ryder has to go remind everyone, hey, did you watch our show last week?
That's a good point.
They had a match, Sheamus and Zack Ryder. Sheamus won. Apollo Crews came out and attacked him. This is the most fire I've seen out of Apollo Crews on the main roster or NXT. And maybe, I don't know, he seems like, I don't know, he had to have something lit underneath him. Maybe, that month of being off TV, maybe that did it.
I'm wondering if, whether it was Triple H or someone got in his ear over the last week and said, hey, it's been a rocky start. This is what you have to sink your teeth into. This is where you have to show Vince that you belong on television. Go show him why you belong on television. Because if this feud with Sheamus wasn't going to go anywhere, it's not like he rockets into a higher spot on the show if he can't do anything with Sheamus. So the boss watches with Sheamus, right? I mean, Sheamus has been a guy who's, always pushed to the top when needed on WWE TV over the last 8 years. So when you're in the ring with Sheamus, the boss is going to be watching you. So Apollo Crews really is basically at this point directly showing off for the boss right now. So I'm glad he kind of jumped onto the spot.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was, WWE World Heavyweight Champion just 7 months ago.
Right.
So, he
was the main event at Christmas time.
Isn't that crazy to think?
He's still working live event main events. But yeah, I thought
so was Kane, by the way.
Yeah, I thought this was Cruz's best showing since the main roster, even though it wasn't a full match or anything. But I thought he definitely he looked like he belonged out there.
Who benefits really well from the brand split too? Apollo Crews is one of those guys that really does benefit from the brand split because no matter what show he's on, most likely he's getting a lot more time than what he's been getting now. So this is the time to prove yourself. Like if I'm going on SmackDown or I'm going on Raw, hey, Riders, I can rise up to the challenge here. So this is the best job interview he's ever going to have.
I think he takes the match over Sheamus. Has he had his first WWE main roster loss yet? I feel like he did.
Yeah, he lost to Jericho.
There we go.
That Money in the Bank qualifier.
Yeah. Who do you all have winning that Money in the Bank match?
After tonight, to me, the only one that makes sense is Dean Ambrose. And I think you go with Dean Ambrose and then the Shield triple threat, build that, down at SummerSlam.
Well, I meant regarding Crews and Sheamus.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that was interesting wording there, Sean.
Sorry.
I mean, common sense would tell you Crews, but just with the way they've been booking the undercard stuff lately, I could easily see them going with Sheamus and keeping it going. But I'd definitely go with Crews. I think he needs that steam. And, it's obvious that feud's not going to end yet. So I think Crews should win the first one.
Rob.
Kind of like John Cena on pay-per-view. It's really hard to bet against Sheamus on pay-per-view. I remember one of his most recent feuds outside of the world title feud was that Dolph Ziggler program where, Sheamus won like every single match of theirs for no reason. So I would say that Sheamus gets the first one, and then we find out at the next pay-per-view if they have some other type of match or if they do something on television. I think Apollo Crews has to be the one who wins, and that's why I'm picking Sheamus.
Sheamus did win that with the kiss me arse. I mean, Ziggler did win the kiss me arse match.
That's right. But who ended up being the one to kiss?
Yeah, exactly.
Sheamus wins when it counts. That's the Vince McMahon booking right there. Sheamus, I'm going to give you this one, but guess what? You're going on top in the end. So I think he's going to go on top in the end. Maybe Apollo Crews gets the victory and then is laid out at the end of that. Either way, Apollo Crews is on the mat at the end of this one.
Why are the Shining Stars still a thing, guys?
I can't remember seeing so many vignettes for someone after they've debuted.
You can't believe that was the plan. There's no way, because these are all in front of a green screen now.
Oh yeah, it's clear. The fact that they had one match and they're back to vignettes and it looks like they have absolutely no plans for them. It just shows. I mean, this gimmick was DOA from the beginning.
Yeah.
There's just nothing to it. It's like, why are you supposed to care?
They do a shitty job of selling me on Puerto Rico. I have a Twitter follower who visited Puerto Rico for a few days a couple weeks ago, and their pictures sold me more on Puerto Rico than these two guys. Because when I hear these guys talk about it, I'm like, wow, I don't want to go to wherever these losers are from.
Well, I don't get what their point is. I don't know if they're supposed to be like anti-American and Puerto Rico's where it's at, because they haven't really, went that route, at least, strongly. So it's just a weird gimmick. I just don't get it.
Our country is so great. Puerto Rico is so great that we are going to leave it to go work.
Yeah.
And not really wrestle and just stand in front of a green screen. At this point, I figure that they debuted on television, they debuted on Raw, and then the next night is when Vince made the decision, okay, we're going ahead with the brand split, and like that's when the big meetings with USA took place, and like that's when it's happening. So it's like, all right, the Shining Stars, we're going to debut them again when the rosters expand, and they'll be exclusive to like SmackDown or something. I just feel like they were caught in one of those creative changes. Because you look at the tag team division right now, there's really no place for them unless you're throwing them in throwaway matches for the next month.
Yeah, which is probably what they'll be doing. And plus, you got the Ascension coming back, so at least they'll have someone else that's not doing much. But it definitely reminds me of the Rougeau brothers. Do you remember the fabulous Rougeau brothers in WWF back in the 80s?
Yeah.
It's like they're kind of recycling that gimmick, but it's just with less talented guys.
Epico looks more like Carlos Colon every damn day.
Yeah.
And why is it, I noticed this, every Hispanic wrestler, that they add an O to the end of their name. Hunico, Epico, Camacho, Primo, Carlito, Kalisto. Why? Why do they do this?
Well, Sin Cara kind of bucks the theory a little bit.
Yeah.
That's right. He went from Mystico to Sin Cara, so we were like, we're going to even this out a little bit.
Right.
We're going to even it out.
They had Magno for a while, too, but I think he used that name already.
Andrade Oceano?
Yeah. Yeah, man, these guys.
What is La Sombra's name in NXT again? I keep forgetting.
Andrade Cien Almas.
Okay.
So they're shattering the mold with that one. But they gave him suspenders and a hat with a feather in it. So
an American male. Didn't the American males used to come out in suspenders?
They did.
Yeah.
Titus O'Neal got attacked by Rusev. That's cool. Who do you all think is going to win the match Sunday? Got to be Rusev, right?
Got to be Rusev. Except, yeah, I think you got to go with Rusev.
I'm anticipating a pretty good match out of these two. I think Rusev has to be. Yeah, no, it's great when Rusev has these types of matches on like Superstars and Main Event, especially last year during his incredible run. They were awesome, and Titus O'Neal has had really good matches with Jack Swagger, who also has really good matches with Rusev. I think these two are going to be ready, and if they get at least 10 minutes on pay-per-view, it'll be awesome. But Rusev has to win. This is Titus O'Neal's chance to just be in a storyline, but Rusev has to be set up for something better. I don't know if it's going to be one of the returning guys like a Randy Orton, but Titus O'Neal can't possibly win this match.
The one thing that bugged me about this segment was that camera angle that they had at the start. You knew something was coming because it wasn't, they switched it up. So,
yeah, they don't do anything subtly. It's over the hill or nothing.
You all want to talk about...
Why couldn't you have done it using the same angle that you usually use, and then you could cut away to it once the attack starts?
You want to talk about angles and not doing things subtly. Did you all see that picture they posted of Titus O'Neal on WWE's Instagram a few weeks ago? The old donger cam, they had it right below the dude's crotch, just shooting up. It was like, I can't believe they thought it was a good idea. I'm going to find it and send you all the link right now, and you're going to think, damn, that was ill-advised.
That's right. We couldn't do our live show tonight on YouTube, but in solace, we're at least getting a donger pic of Titus O'Neal. Yeah. That's how this night's going.
And it was right after his suspension. It's like, welcome back. Oh, God, here it is. This is horrible. This is terrible. Let me pull this up if I can find out how to chat to you all.
Sean's doing a really good job of selling this. This is the worst. This is terrible.
Okay, look at it.
All right, maybe I will. Maybe there's Titus O'Neal.
Do you email it?
No, I put it in the Skype chat here. I wish that of all the nights.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
That's a picture of Titus O'Neal standing over me, presenting himself.
Yeah.
I should embed it in the podcast post so people know
Why
what I'm
not?
talking about. In Google Hangouts, usually we could do a screen share, but unfortunately that wasn't an option. Spent too much time talking about Titus's dong, though.
Yeah.
We had the Ambrose Asylum. It's a bit of a Shield reunion. They went back and forth. They talked about the good times, the bad times, the best of times. It made me miss the three together. In the end, of all people to stand tall, was Dean Ambrose. What do you all think of the two guys in the title match being laid out, and Dean Ambrose, who was in kind of a headline match, standing, being the guy left standing? They did tease the Shield triple threat, and personally, I wouldn't mind if Dean Ambrose won that match, and then Seth Rollins wins the Royal Rumble, and you have that way down the line. Doesn't look like they would wait that long, though, because I find it hard to believe that they would have Ambrose lay out Roman Reigns if they didn't have some plans for him fairly soon, but you never know. Raj, what do you think?
Yeah, they don't really. When they shoot the angle, they usually don't wait that long. So it really makes no sense for them to have someone not in the match or even in the world title picture lay them out. Except in this case, if they are building to a Shield triple threat, and it does build a little more interest in the Money in the Bank ladder match now, because now you're like, oh well, Ambrose could cash in, and it could be just a red herring, but I thought normally something like this would really bug me, and it didn't really bug me as much, just because it did serve two different matches, and if it is building to a triple threat, I think kind of cool.
Yeah, I think their tunnel vision right now is to Sunday's Money in the Bank and not so much what we can put together in the future. And who's to say all three of these guys are even on the same show, especially Ambrose and Reigns? They may not be on the same show in a month.
That's true.
So that's kind of their out, right? If they do something like this, but then they're on different shows, we never got that match, and maybe they can build it somewhere down the line on a Big Four pay-per-view. I just think they're tunnel vision right now, and we kind of saw that with the women's situation too. Their tunnel vision is the Sunday and not necessarily what's happening in the future.
You know what got me, though, in this segment is how cold this feud has gotten over the last few weeks. Like, if you look back at that angle when Seth Rollins came back and pedigreed Roman Reigns and fans going crazy, and just the night before, and now where it is now, the crowd was pretty quiet during, this entire segment. So I feel like they've kind of dropped the ball on this one.
Well, when you try to force a guy that the people don't really like to be a babyface, and then you force a guy who the fans want to like to be a heel, I think that'll happen.
It is really strange, the programs that Roman Reigns has been involved with after becoming the guy, because he's being put right up against certain wrestlers, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, that WWE knows the fans are going to be inclined to cheer them. It's
right.
not a situation where you're Roman Reigns versus Rusev or Roman Reigns versus Sheamus probably would have been something where, okay, these are guys that the crowd's going to boo. We can put Roman Reigns. It'll make him look better. No, let's throw him up against ultra babyface AJ Styles. Let's throw him up against, wannabe babyface Seth Rollins. And you're right, Raj. I mean, it's been cooled off because Seth Rollins came back with all this momentum, and then they killed it the very first night he turned back to himself, back to heel. It reminds me a little bit of Triple H and Chris Jericho as they were going into WrestleMania 18.
Yeah.
Because they turned that feud from Triple H coming back and going for the title to Triple H infighting with Stephanie McMahon. And where was Stephanie McMahon's alliance at with Chris Jericho or Triple H? They focus off of the already built-in story for something else. This one, they're focusing now on Dean Ambrose and the Shield and what happened with the Shield 2 years ago, and not so much that Seth Rollins was the champion, lost it because of this injury, is now coming back for it and letting the crowd go where they might. They just don't have the right sense of where the focus should be on these storylines, and it's a big problem because this should be probably the top-level match on the show. And I think AJ Styles and John Cena has overshadowed it. And with their bookings, in some ways, the Money in the Bank match has overshadowed it, despite their efforts to not overshadow it. It's just been a really interesting build in that match.
Mm-hmm.
And not interesting in the best way.
So Ambrose stood tall. We saw John Cena talking to Shane McMahon backstage. That's something that I liked. We saw Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon backstage several times throughout this show. One of those times, though, almost ruined it for me. Kevin Owens rushes in and says, Alberto Del Rio just got to the building. Don't you think that's unprofessional? He was on the damn stage, front and center, to begin the night during the moment of silence. Kind of weird.
Well, the moment of silence isn't part of the show. That's what
he was
in
there.
WWE.
We saw him there, Rob.
No,
Whether
I
it's
know.
a part of the show or not, we saw him
But remember,
there.
but Sean, this is what I'm saying. In writer world, and they're writing fiction, right? They're writing television. The cold open and memorizing of something like that is not part of the show. So you could have Vince out there. You could have everybody out there, and you can still do. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying I agree with you. You see him out there, so most wrestling fans will be like, I saw the guy. He's not arriving to the building. They're lying to me. But in creating fiction land, the open of the show when you do something like that is like it never happened.
No.
It's not part of the show.
No.
Whatever they tell later is the real part of the show.
No way.
I'm
But
telling you. I'm Vince Russoing you right now. I'm telling you what the writers think.
Yeah, how hard would it have been to tweak that angle a little bit to not be that he just got there late and change it to something else, with 30 guys there. I think he could come up with something.
He wasn't dressed to wrestle, right? He was there.
Just say he was supposed to be
Yeah,
in here by 5 and he showed up at 7:57 and made it out to the ramp. I mean,
or someone stole his luggage and he doesn't have his wrestling gear, or something like that.
He wouldn't have a problem with people stealing his luggage if he used TrendyButler.com. Because if he used TrendyButler.com, he could pay only $65 and get over $150 worth of designer clothes. Here's how you do it, my friends. You go to TrendyButler.com. You can check out examples of their boxes that they send you. And you go there, you create a custom style profile based on your favorite colors, patterns, what you wear, what you don't like to wear. If there's something that you look at and you're like, damn, that's hideous, mark it down. They won't send it to you. Based on what you select, a stylist will pick out a set of clothes for you. When they sent me my box, I got over $200 worth of clothes. It was awesome. TrendyButler.com. And if you use the code Wrestling10, all caps, you can get a great deal. They won't dress you like Chris Jericho. They'll dress you like Ric Flair, my friends. But yeah, that Del Rio stuff. Didn't like that. But I love that Kevin Owens is a tattletale now. I love that he is just a total rat, and he just tattles on people at every opportunity. I think that's such a Kevin Owens thing to do, and I really liked it.
Did the LeBron James news of today play any part in that, you think?
Which news?
LeBron James tattling on Draymond Green?
Oh, probably. Maybe.
Right.
I mean, they use Steph Curry's shoes, so that's quite possible. I hope
Say
they did.
that game, I think it was tied at halftime, so
Yes.
that's gonna be hurting the ratings tomorrow.
And Cleveland won.
Yeah.
Charlotte,
So SmackDown will be up against Game 6.
Oh boy, I get to cover that. Paige defeated Charlotte. Dana Brooke cost her the match. Becky Lynch and Natalya at ringside. So you got 4 girls who were involved in a tag match on Sunday, and not a one of them won tonight. Instead, Paige. I'll say this: Paige is looking like she's getting in better shape too. So good for her. What do you all think?
You think this was a random win, or you think she's next in line for Charlotte?
I think they probably want to bridge the gap until SummerSlam. And
With Sasha?
Yeah, with Sasha. It's so weird the way that it's very transparent that they're just trying to kill time until SummerSlam. But they don't do it by putting Sasha on TV and having her be, Summer and Alicia Fox and all these people, and then saying, "Where the hell's my title shot? Why are you ducking me?" The Rousey Cyborg thing. That works. People want to see that, and a lot of people think that one is ducking the other. I would just have Charlotte. I'll face Natalya. I'll face Paige. I'll face anybody else. But I don't think I should have to face Charlotte or face Sasha because she got her chance at WrestleMania, and she has to earn her way back. But they don't do that. I don't know what this accomplished. Some dissension between Dana Brooke and Charlotte. Okay, I guess.
We're getting dissension before we've even gotten a tag match. Like, this is the first tag match where they're working together on pay-per-view. We got last month was the Ric Flair leaving the group, and now it was Dana and Charlotte. And they've been doing this dissension angle before we can even see that they were actually on the same page to begin with. It's they're rushing through this at the same time as, whatever we do now doesn't matter because in a month we'll change it all anyway. And
it's weird. If you were going to tease dissension, there was a moment last week when Dana Brooke looked like she was going to hit Charlotte, and I was like, ooh, this is getting interesting. If she just gave her that look like she was thinking about hitting her but then decided against it, and then Charlotte came back this week and was like, what the hell was that about? That would have done a lot more than having Charlotte, your women's champion, mind you, who since WrestleMania has won 2 televised matches out of 8. 2 out of 8. I'm not all about having your champs look like complete crap.
Yeah, I'm not. And to answer Raj's question, I do think that the Paige win is random. I don't think they're going to do much with Paige over the next month, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she does get a singles match leading into Battleground or whatever the next pay-per-view is. I just think this was it was not so much a Paige win as it was a Charlotte loss heading into Sunday.
Also, we didn't give our predictions on Rollins Reigns. Who do you all have winning that?
I don't. Again, this is another one that I don't see them. I don't see them ending the feud here. So I think it's Reigns or it's like a DQ or some crappy finish, and you can put Money in the Bank last so the fans still go home happy, and then do a schmoz with this match.
Rob, your thoughts?
If I didn't think there was no way they wanted to get rid of the Money in the Bank briefcase so early, I would think that you have Dean Ambrose win, and then he cashes it in the main event and actually costs Seth Rollins the victory, and Roman Reigns walks out the champion. But I don't feel, especially with a brand split, I mean, that Money in the Bank is kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card for WWE at times. So that there's an injury or whether there's a storyline they don't want to get out of, that Money in the Bank is always there. So I don't think they want to ruin it so early, but that's kind of what an off-the-wall prediction for myself would be, is someone wins it and cashes it in a triple threat the same way Seth Rollins did at WrestleMania. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, Roman Reigns somehow is walking out of the pay-per-view as the champion. I don't see Seth Rollins winning it back on the first night. I just don't think Seth Rollins is primed to, after this feud, be the top-of-the-card guy that he was when he was the champion back last year. So I think Roman Reigns takes it home.
I mean, you could do some, when's the next pay-per-view? What is...
Battleground is the week after, it's that Sunday of the live SmackDown debut.
It's the Sunday before.
Sunday after.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say they could do a disputed finish, and that leads to the 2 world titles. But they usually, instead of doing that lately, they just announce stuff on social media.
Well, I see that could happen at Battleground if you do a double pin, or if you have 2 straight disputed finishes. Because I could see, like you mentioned, them doing either Money in the Bank last or AJ Cena the way they built it last. Yeah. But yeah, and then you do the disputed finishes, and it's like, Rollins never lost his belt, so why doesn't he have one? He keeps not losing to Reigns, so why doesn't he have one? I could definitely see that happening, and especially if that's the week after SmackDown goes live and they're getting their own unique roster, that's prime for it. Now this women's tag match, who's winning that, and does it matter?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You've already done Charlotte against Natalya and Becky Lynch, so it's not like this match is going to build a new contender. It's just there to fill up time and kill some time until you move on to Charlotte and Sasha. So I think you gotta think that Charlotte and Dana Brooke win, but it doesn't matter.
I would go with Becky tapping out Charlotte because of something Dana Brooke did.
Yeah, I like that idea. Also, we're getting Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler.
Hell yeah, we are.
It's like the 5th or 6th time. You know,
Finally, main event time.
Third straight pay-per-view there on the pre-show.
Yeah.
Every pay-per-view since WrestleMania.
So,
yeah, Baron Corbin, welcome to the main roster. You're going to be on our low developmental part of our pay-per-views.
Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner to
that thing is cursed. That thing is cursed. But I think Baron Corbin's going to win. But, it's funny because I think that the last week, Dolph Ziggler kicking Corbin in the balls and Corbin's little promo outside on SmackDown were the best things of this feud. And if they would have happened, I don't know, a month and a half ago, it could have been an okay feud. Who do you all have winning?
I'm going to make a bold prediction here.
Uh-oh.
A very bold, almost out of nowhere prediction. I think Baron Corbin gets the win, and then Randall K. Orton comes in and sets up the next program going into Battleground with Randy Orton and Baron Corbin.
That's not a bad idea. But I just don't see them having Randy Orton return during the pre-show is the only thing.
Yeah, good point.
But I could, I definitely think Corbin is winning. But I think going from a feud to Ziggler to Orton, it's not a bad idea.
And maybe Orton debuts the next night. Maybe Baron Corbin just gets a win. Maybe Orton debuts the next night. I'm going to hedge a little here and say Randy Orton can debut a month from now. But somehow his first program is Baron Corbin. In fact, put that on the scroll. Breaking news: Randy Orton debuts at Survivor Series, faces Baron Corbin.
Well, it's not going to get as many hits as the corporate Kane return story, but it happens. Would you
That's true.
Will this be a 5-star match?
No.
Not everything can be 5 stars, you guys, but you know what is?
The
Resurrection of Jake the Snake on Netflix. That's right, my friends. The Resurrection of Jake the Snake is now available on Netflix. You can check it out, see what everybody's been talking about. If you don't have Netflix, you can buy it on Blu-ray or DVD. Go to the DDP Yoga website. Use the code WINC, all caps, and get a great deal on that. Also, it's available on demand everywhere. Vudu, Amazon, Google Play, PlayStation Network, iTunes, everywhere. And during that documentary, you see how DDPYoga.com/Wrestling Inc. helped out Jake the Snake Roberts and Scott Hall, and of course, how it helped out Diamond Dallas Page himself. Shawn Michaels used it when he first came back from his back injury. John Cena has used it. Sami Zayn uses it. Steven Richards, Mick Foley, everybody uses it. From minor upkeep to preventative health, preventing yourself from getting injuries. DDPYoga.com/Wrestling Inc. is the way to go. And if you go there and check it out, you get 3 free months of the DDP Yoga Now app with your purchase. Damn, what a segue that was, you guys.
Do it. No, you're on fire tonight, Sean. Both of them have been top notch. I would give the first one 4 1/4. The second one probably 4 1/2. I liked them both. I really appreciate your work. And go buy The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. Go buy it. Don't be at the mercy of Netflix. They could take it off next month. Go buy it. Go own it so you can watch it whenever you want to.
Definitely, it is a keeper. It's a great movie. I've seen it several times already.
I had my fiance watch it last week, and she really liked it. She begrudgingly watched it and then got into it within the first 5 or 10 minutes.
That's what happens. You want to own it so you can buy it on Amazon. You play it on all your Amazon, your Fire, all your stuff whenever you want to. 6 months from now, you're going to want to watch that movie. You're going to go to Netflix. It's going to be taken down. And what are you going to do? Go buy it now. Save yourself some trouble.
Sami Zayn versus Cesaro. I like this match. I thought this match kicked ass. And what I liked the most about this match was that they used the sunset, the standing sunset foot powerbomb, and it was a finish. It was unpredictable. I didn't see it working as a finish, but it's a move that I absolutely buy as a finish. Rob, your thoughts on this match and the finish?
Yeah, it kind of gave you a glimpse of how their NXT matches were so great, and maybe the one time that Byron Saxton has been useful on commentary was telling everyone that, hey, you can go watch these guys on NXT and watch NXT now because you never know what they're going to be doing on Raw 2 years from now. But yeah, they did a lot of what made them really fun to watch when Sami Zayn was first coming on NXT. And it was short, but hey, it's television. You're not going to get pay-per-view quality matches all the time. This was one of the more exciting ways to build up your money in the bank, doing stuff like this where you actually do want to see more of these guys, and you can do that on Sunday. So I enjoyed this segment, one of the better things on the show tonight.
Raj.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I'm having to post something, but yeah, I agree with what Rob was saying.
We had the AJ Styles John Cena contract signing. John Cena had 2 contracts. One said John Cena versus AJ Styles, and the other one said John Cena versus AJ Styles with the club. And he called the Bullet Club the Bitch Club and said that...
It sounded like he said pitch.
Well, last week he said Pullet Club, and everybody thought he said Bullet Club, so who knoknows.
Like the P's are getting in the way. Well, one thing I did want to add with the Cesaro Sami Zayn thing, I think it was the right move for Sami to get the win, but it's the way they've just been mixing these and matching these guys, it's just completely forgotten in a week, and I think that's unfortunate because Sami could use a meaningful win.
I agree. Cena name-dropped PWG, New Japan, and Ring of Honor, saying that AJ was synonymous with all of them. No mention of TNA. I would have laughed my ass off if he threw the NWA in there, but not TNA. That would have been very funny. A lot of people, of course, fake outraging over that.
Yeah, it's like you expect them to name-drop TNA. But where would you say Styles had his greatest success? It's got to be TNA, even though he won the IWGP title and everything in New Japan. Just wasn't there long enough for it.
If you're talking best run, I think probably New Japan because he was a top guy the entire time. And in TNA, he was marginalized repeatedly, then pushed back to the top, then marginalized repeatedly. But at the same time, he was so important in establishing that X division. He was, one of the first guys on American pay-per-view to headline a pay-per-view with like a lighter weight division match with that Daniels-Joe match. So yeah, I would say there.
Yeah, his greatest success for brand and money-wise was TNA. I mean, the New Japan was a great help because it really legitimized him amongst everybody. I mean, TNA at the end of his run, people were like, how do you let AJ Styles go? But it's not like he was on some career trajectory to get even better than he was. Then he goes to New Japan and gets even better. So that got him back on the WWE map. Like, hey, we really have to have this guy. Because his entire run in TNA, what were the rumors, right? That they were going to offer him deals, but they were lowballing. They were going to offer developmental. Well, then he goes to New Japan. He's a big, huge star. The game's changing in 2016, and they offer him a main roster deal right away. Come on in, main event pay-per-views against our champion. So it definitely helped the brand of AJ Styles. I don't think not mentioning NWA, TNA, or anything like that was a big deal. But there will be a lot of TNA fans who are like, oh, you're afraid of TNA. How could you not mention us? And like, no, it's just you're not going to mention TNA. They haven't before. They won't again. And John Cena certainly hedging. He's a middle schooler who wants to cuss but also doesn't want to get in trouble, so they have plausible deniability. Like, I'm going to call you a pitch. I didn't say bitch. I said pitch. Like, that's what he is. He wants to keep that PG cred with the WWE audience. I mean, you're absolutely right. I'm watching the thing last week. He says pull it club. Today he says pitch. It was really it's getting a little cutesy how he's avoiding saying Bullet Club too. It's PG John Cena.
I think if they didn't have those two things, which I think the promo work has been really good between these two anyway.
Yeah, it's great.
Those two things are so cheesy.
I will say this though, I think AJ Styles has been the MVP for WWE so far this year.
Oh,
like
definitely.
every feud. Both of his feuds since WrestleMania with Roman Reigns and now with John Cena, it's been the best thing into each show. And
it's motivating Kevin Owens too, because Kevin Owens wants that moniker. He really does want to be the unsung hero of WWE, and he was almost on an easy ride to do so. But then AJ Styles came in, and I think it really is motivating guys in the back, especially the ones who really care, like a Sami Zayn or a Kevin Owens, to up their game. Because you're right, AJ Styles has absolutely come in, and despite losses to Chris Jericho, despite 2 straight pay-per-view losses to Roman Reigns, this guy is not stopping. AJ Styles is proving why he is that top-tier guy in WWE when, month after month, all the pundits, a lot of the pundits out there are talking about, okay, this is where AJ goes down. This is where AJ goes down. AJ is no longer a top guy. He had his spot. He's going down. Well, he ain't stopping. This guy is absolutely the main event of WWE this year.
Also, AJ signed the contract that did not have the club with him and said he's not just another independent guy after Cena said that every independent guy wants this spot. AJ Styles said, "With ya Kmart shopping ass," to John Cena. I thought that was kind of funny.
Isn't that one of their business partners?
Yeah, it is. Which, I mean,
Jeez.
they've been shutting Kmart's down left and right. The one in my town just got shut down, actually. So maybe
Yeah, same
not
here.
now.
Same here.
Yeah. So maybe not anymore. Who's winning this match Sunday?
I think they're going to go with the same Cena formula and have AJ win this one, and Cena gets all the rest.
Attention Kmart shoppers, a John Cena victory in aisle 11. Yeah, John Cena's winning this match. AJ Styles is going to lose. I bet they do it again on pay-per-view, though, again. I bet they do it another time.
Yeah.
I bet they do it another time.
I think they do it a couple more times.
Yeah, so I wonder, though, what they're going to do if AJ Styles and John Cena end up on the same show. Like, I can't fathom that's going to be possible, that they end up on the same show. But, they very well may, keep this going all the way to SummerSlam. I don't know. We also got to wonder what Brock Lesnar's going to do. So there's, like, names on the outside that are going to have to fit in some way. But I don't see John Cena losing to AJ Styles. But guess what? When Kevin Owens came up, Kevin Owens got that first win. So maybe we do see an AJ Styles win at front, and then John Cena wins five more times after that.
Yeah, Rusev, they did the same thing. Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt, kind of, except they give the first victory to Cena since it was at WrestleMania. But what I'd like to see is if it is going to continue, is if they have Styles, and Styles is going to win this one. Is have Styles wins here, and then separate them for a couple months, and then go back at SummerSlam, because I think they got a great chemistry, and I don't want to see that feud end too soon.
What worries me on this one is that if Vince sees like AJ as a brand holder for someone else, whether it be TNA or Japan, or they're making this whole thing about AJ Styles being Mr. Indy.
Yeah.
That doesn't usually have a good history with the guy coming out on top against the WWE name. When you represent someone outside of WWE, Vince does like to squash you right away. Kevin Owens wasn't representing anything outside of WWE. He was just a new guy, brash guy who was the NXT champion. AJ Styles represents something outside of WWE, so he may get put in his place right here on John Cena's land, and John Cena gets the win at front. It's going to be an interesting finish, because if we don't see Guns and Gallows involved, like if AJ Styles is to win, someone has to interfere, and if there's no one to interfere, then it doesn't look good for AJ.
Backstage, Kane saw Del Rio and Owens arguing. Del Rio said that that Owens called airport security and had him held up for hours, which was kind of funny. Kane booked them in a tag match together and said that they needed a team-building exercise, and if they lost to the Lucha Dragons, the Dragons would take over their spot. Owens and Del Rio won this match. Not really a lot to talk about here, but a solid match, good match. Did what it should have.
And at least they threw in a little step.
I like that. It made it matter.
Yeah.
Even though you knew which way it was going, but at least
it was
they
clear.
Tried. They did. They made
but because they could have always gone, because the fan in you has seen it enough times where the one tag team partner will cost the other one. But with the way they did the step and made it so they had to win, I thought it still made it entertaining, even though it was a foregone conclusion.
I could see also how WWE maybe didn't think that it was going to be a foregone conclusion if they play it up a little bit better. I agree with you guys. I mean, it was obvious Owens and Del Rio were going to win, but you put the Lucha Dragons in there, a guy who does really well in ladder matches. Maybe you put Owens and Del Rio as a singles match if you didn't think they were going to win the Money in the Bank match. So it could have worked, but it wasn't going to work with 1 hour of build on television the night or the show before Money in the Bank.
We also had to close the show. Well, actually, Bill should bring up The Miz had another pre-taped segment from the cast of the Marine 5 Battleground.
And no Wyatt family again this week.
Yeah,
he'd kind of teased that on Twitter, but and he's
always
he's
teasing it on Twitter though.
Bray?
Yeah,
I only saw the one where he actually named said New Orleans, but Yeah, but he's always putting weird stuff on Twitter that could be teasing or is just something, some random statement. But he's, they have him listed for, events coming up soon. So I got to wonder if if they come back here or Raw the following night.
Ambrose versus Jericho to close the show. I thought this was, this is the millionth match they've had. They got to stop having these. They had them face each other on SmackDown. Jericho won. More 50-50. Ambrose, though, won the match. Looked really strong tonight. Really strong. But ultimately, after all the dust settled, Jericho stood tall on top of the ladder with the case as Raw goes off the air. Fine match. But, don't think this should have been closing the show.
I don't think it was the right thing to close the show. I think you closed with that AJ Styles John Cena segment. You probably help your show a little bit better too. But I wonder if they were just afraid of the Game 5 going on tonight, because that would have been bad placement, that main event spot, no matter who was in it going up against Game 5. But I think there would, if you look in a vacuum on WWE Raw and don't take outside factors into it, I don't know if that was even in my top 3 of things I would have closed the show with.
They've just been doing that a lot lately, where they have the main event angle, in the middle of the show, and then they close with something random. It's like they feel like, since the second hour is usually the most watched, that they want to put the main angle there, but then the rest of the show just drags. You feel like anything important that's going to happen has happened.
It's a cycle, because you start seeing the lowered ratings in hour 3, so you put the main stuff in hour 2, and then no wonder why people are turning their television off in hour 3, because you just put the biggest thing on the show in hour 2. Right. It's going more in the ways of Saturday night's main event, where like the first thing on TV is a big thing, the opener of the 9 o'clock hour is the big thing, and then the opening of the 10 o'clock hour is another big thing, but the main event of the show is, in some, I bet some people like it, because you're getting matches to end the shows now. You're not getting promos, you're not getting cliffhanger segments, you're getting matches that have a definitive ending. But I don't know if that's the best thing for television, and it's not what appeals to me the most.
And the matches that they're giving are ones that we've seen a dozen times, But
yeah, they are.
Who's winning this match? Personally, I think it's got to be Ambrose or Owens. Ambrose, no matter what you do to him, is a guy that you can insert in a main event. Owens, I think, was hurt really badly by losing that John Cena feud. Not really, really badly, but there was the perception that he isn't a possible top guy. A Money in the Bank briefcase may help change that a little bit, but who you got, Raj?
I want Owens to win, but I'm thinking it's going to be Ambrose.
And as I mentioned, I wouldn't be opposed to Ambrose winning, and then if Rollins were, if they were to really stretch out that Shield 3-way and have Rollins win the Royal Rumble and Dean Ambrose, does the noble thing, well, I want in on this match, to show who the best guy is and all that crap.
Yeah, I can't see them having all 3 guys on the same show, after the brand split, and that would make a SummerSlam 3-way a tough thing to do. So I could almost see them rushing the Shield 3-way to, Battleground whatever the next one is. So
it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Money in the Bank. The brand split leads me to think that they may rush the Money in the Bank winner, because how do you handle that if it's on a split show? Does that person just get to challenge for whatever title is on that particular show? Do they get to hop in between shows if they want and challenge for the other one? I don't know how that will work.
Yeah, if they even have 2 main brand championships, because I don't know if that's actually something we're going to see either. I don't know if they do it right away. Well, I'm kind of in the boat that Dean Ambrose wins, but I could also see like an off-the-wall choice. I mean, Zack Ryder won at WrestleMania, so I could see someone like Alberto Del Rio winning at Money in the Bank.
Well, they did it with Sheamus last year, so you never know.
Exactly, and you have a heel as the holder, so they can cash it in and build some heat. Baby faces don't generally do the best having that title, and they like to give it to heels. They do. They like having the idea of a heel winning that one and cashing it in.
Del Rio's won before, right?
Del Rio has won before.
Yeah, and then he cashed in on CM Punk. Okay.
So, Raj, before we go, I want to ask you, Fedor, is he ever fighting in the UFC?
No.
I don't think so either.
I'll
He's
eat
got a
my
better chance
hat
than
before
CM
he
Punk.
fights in the UFC.
There you go. There you go. He will eat his hat.
Wait. One thing we forgot to talk about is the split pay-per-views.
Oh, yeah.
Is that you think that will
I tell
actually?
you what, guys, nothing screams we need 2 pay-per-views like a 5th Baron Corbin Dolph Ziggler match.
That's right.
Nothing makes me say,
I
give
will.
me my wrestling more than that.
I will say this. That
What will you
we've had a couple of network special events that have been network only and not on pay-per-view. I don't think the events they add will actually be pay-per-view events. It's not like they're going to be on traditional pay-per-view. There'll be extra events on the WWE network explicitly. So I don't know if
anybody
it's that.
carries them anyway.
I know, exactly. I just don't think it's that big of a change. I think people are seeing, additional pay-per-views when it's not necessarily a huge change from last. Instead of something like Beast in the East, it'll be a SmackDown special.
Well,
So you're just transitioning
you've
it to
got
someone
like
else.
16 special event matches per month as opposed to 8. Now, I could see, when you think about it, it's like, damn, are they really just going to have a 3-hour Raw build to 4 pay-per-view matches every month? And it's not likely. So, I don't know. Definitely wouldn't be opposed to those pay-per-views becoming 2 hours, which isn't going to happen. But
The network events, maybe. They may be 2, 2.5. They may not be the whole 3 thing, so.
Because I can't imagine a 2-hour SmackDown a week building to 8 pay-per-view matches.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Hopefully, cooler heads prevail because that seems like a oversaturation to the core. But I'm all in favor of them doing split pay-per-views and switching off the B shows and then having the SummerSlam and WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble be dual branded. But
let's not forget that 12 years ago, we were seeing things like Kenzo Suzuki versus Billy Gunn, Mordecai against Hardcore Holly, Luther Reigns against Charlie Haas, Spike Dudley against Jamie Noble, and these were on the same show. This was on the same pay-per-view, all those matches. Man, now
yeah, that was when they made the effort to make SmackDown the B show.
Yeah.
Like the Raw shows weren't that shallow and in depth, but and the SmackDown buy rates plummeted and they kind of did away with that. So we'll see if history repeats itself or they really they bring in the talent that they need from NXT and other places and do it right this time.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll see. I would just advise caution because based on what they've been doing lately, it's really only an extra 4 events per year. So it's not like they're going too crazy.
Raj, I want to get your thoughts. Rob, I don't know if you're familiar with some of the fights this weekend, but if you are, I'll get your thoughts on a few of them. You have
Is CM Punk on the card anywhere?
He is not.
No, of course not.
You have EFN this Friday, Fedor Emelianenko against Fabio Maldonado. Both of these guys are going to be juiced out of their gourds. There is no drug testing. Fabio Maldonado straight up had said that he was going to do some PEDs.
Did he really?
Pretty much.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, no shame in his game. You give him any chance against Fedor?
Yeah, I mean, Fedor's been, beating cans and he's not the Fedor of yesteryear. So I definitely give Maldonado a chance. I think the smart money's still obviously Fedor, but I don't think, if it was anything more than 2 to 3 to 1 odds, and if I was a betting man, I'd put it on Maldonado.
Yeah, I'd plop $10 down on Maldonado. Now, I mean, it's probably, I won't say the best fighter that he's faced in 5 years, but probably the toughest matchup since Dan Henderson, because Monson, Ishii, and Hizzo were all more talented than Maldonado. But Maldonado's a tough dude. He's a very tough guy. We also have Donald Cerrone this weekend, UFC Fight Night, taking on Patrick Cote at 170 pounds. I got Cote winning this. Who do you have?
I got to go Cerrone.
Yeah. Did I say Cerrone or Cote?
You said Cote.
Oh, hell no. I meant Cerrone. Sorry. I don't know why I said Cote. I caught myself there. Sorry, guys.
Quickest flip in history.
Oh, yeah. I heard myself and I was like, wait a second. and one that I'm really excited for. Rory McDonald against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Yeah, that should be a good one. But I got to go with Rory. We'll have to see how he came back after that, because this is his first fight since Robbie Lawler, right?
Oh yeah, you never know how somebody's going to react after that.
Exactly. I mean, that was that was punishment, that he took. Like, he was beaten badly. So, yeah, we'll have to see if he can go back to the old Rory McDonald. I take him winning. Otherwise, I got to go with Wonderboy.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think McDonald may not have even peaked yet, but you never know after that kind of fight. Wonderboy Thompson, I believe, is at his peak, in his prime, right now. At this minute, I think this is probably the best Stephen Wonderboy Thompson will ever see. He's 33 years old, coming off of wins over Cote Ellenberger, Johnny Hendricks. His one loss is to Matt Brown, and if they fought again today, he would probably smoke Matt Brown. Guys, I want to apologize for the technical errors. Blame Google. I don't even know how you can talk to them about it because they don't have like a support thing on Twitter. They have nobody I can contact to be like, hey, your Hangouts are screwed up. Hopefully it'll be okay this Wednesday for myself and Rob, 10 p.m.
We got a big show on Wednesday.
We do.
We got to talk about this Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah.
We got to talk about NXT.
Yes.
And not only is Money in the Bank on Sunday, but Sunday morning here for those in the U.S., we got Dominion. We got Naito versus Okada.
All right.
We got Shibata versus Nagata. We got a lot of good stuff going on. So we have a big show on Wednesday. So send your questions in to Sean. Go to the Wrestling Inc. page. Send questions in about all the cool stuff coming up. We got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, guys, I didn't do questions tonight. I will do them Wednesday. I will gather them up. I will answer them for you. Rob might, but you all don't like Rob, so it's okay. It's okay. I will save you from Rob's hot takes. But
well, not even hot takes. I just don't know anything about wrestling.
Yeah, that was a good one. Did you see that review, Raj?
No, I missed it.
Oh gosh.
Don't show the boss that review. Let's wait till a good one comes in.
Somebody was like, Rob doesn't know anything about wrestling.
You can tell this guy doesn't know storylines because he didn't know so-and-so was going to beat so-and-so.
And what storyline did you correctly predict right during that show?
Oh, the Revival winning the tag team titles back?
Yeah, which not many people saw coming. But anyway, guys, ddpyoga.com/wrestling inc. Trendybutler.com. Use that code, wrestling10, all caps. Until next time, guys, we are out.